Yeah, how many people out there experienced prison early in the 70s? You know what I mean? I mean, I was starting my prisons in the 60s, but anybody can remember being in prison in the 70s, something like that, when there was no toilets in the cells? You know, it's really embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, when I first got my bit of bird in a big prison, I mean, and you go to reception, you eat a lot of food. Yeah, you eat loads and loads of food, as much as you can possibly do. You don't realise that when you're going to a big prison, you're not singled up in a single cell like YPs are. You're like three up or four up even, you know what I mean? And you've got to realise that when you get in that cell, you've got one pot. You've got one pot, yeah? And that's for three people to do the toilets in there, you know what I mean? Number one, number two, or whatever it may be. You know, and for me, the first time that I went in to the scrubs as a big prisoner, yeah. I done a YP, I done a ball store and all that, but I'm on about as a big prison where you're free full up in a cell. And to go in there and, you know, if you got a top bunk and this, that and the other, you know, you're trying to get your bed sorted out and you get in there and you know, everyone's farting and smoking cigarettes. It ain't too nice, you know what I mean? But I was quite lucky, I had two nice guys. But to wake up, in the middle of the night, you know, and and smell smell like poo, like it's not a good thing, you know what I mean? And to see someone sitting on the edge of their bed on a bit of paper doing their toilet, you know what I mean? It's like you can't imagine it. And I went, wow. And really, I know that it's going to come to a stage where I've got to do that myself, yeah. And I'm thinking, wow, there's no embarrassment. It is an embarrassment because it is what's got to go on in prison, yeah. And you know, to see that guy fold it all up and cut somebody's sheet and then sort of like tie it up like a little parcel and fly out the window is absolutely crazy, you know. I mean, you can imagine, can't you? You can imagine what it's like. I mean, you know, in prison, the food in prison is like, well, it's watered down to nothing. You know what I mean? It's all like boiled to death. You know, so everything you eat is quite loose. You know, you don't get anything really hard. You might get baked potatoes, but everything's quite loose. So you can imagine that when you go to poo and all that game, it's like quite watery. So you can imagine what it's like. You know what I mean? It's running out the side of the paper, it's all running all over the floor. You know, and do you know what? You don't realise what you got to go through. You know, and you go through a hell of a lot, and it's, you know, and you think that would stop you from being in prison, Jim. But it didn't. It didn't. Always it didn't, you know. But it hardens you up, mate. You can't believe it how much it hardens you up, you know. And when you come out your cell, and you got to go and get your water and all that, and you got jugs and bits and pieces like that, and you go into and you got big great big recess. You got the slop out. You got the slop out place, you know, slop out urn. You got, I mean, big square like sinks, massive slop out things, yeah. And you know, everyone's chucking their thing, everyone's lining up, you know, with the little aluminium pots and all that, you know. And you know, it changed, didn't it? It changed from aluminium to plastic, but the aluminium pots had the lid. You couldn't see what was in there, you know. And the guy behind you, next thing you know, you throw it in. It's absolutely, the smell is atrocious, yeah. And in them days, the prison sewage and all them sort of places, things weren't all that together, you know, because it'd be laying. I mean, you go to the slop out and put your pot in there, and mate, it's full up. It's full up with poos all over the toilet. It's all over. It's so degraded, you know what I mean? And it is what it is. You know, you gotta do it. You know, you got to do it, and it is what it is. You got to do it. You know, and you think, oh dear, you know, and you go back to your cell, and you've got a jug of water, have a wash, bang, the door slams, you know, and then you know what, these screws, they must go home stinking of poo, because it happens like 3 or 4 times a day, you know, when people have got to do that, you know, but more so in the morning. In the daytime, you know, you might be lucky enough to get out your cell, exercise, and you've got a toilet on the exercise yard so you can use that, yeah? But mate, it really is degrading. You know, how many people are watching my podcast now, my video, sorry, and can remember them times? Can remember the aluminium one, not the plastic one, the aluminium. I mean, I remember that, mate. It's crazy, you know, to go to, to try, you know, and you wake up and you want to go wee, to wake up. I mean, the first time that I done what the guy done, toilet on a bit of paper, it was like, don't forget I'm on the top bunk, so I can't put a bit of paper on the top bunk and do that. You know, I've got to come down. I've got to come down to the floor, you know, and do it on the floor. You know, there's nothing more embarrassing than squatting on the floor, doing what you got to do. You know what I mean? And you're tying it up, you know, and picking it up. And it's like just, and you're chucking it out the window. And when you step on the pipe to put it out the window, you're looking out, and there's absolutely hundreds of them. Hundreds of these parcels all spread about, you know, you look about, you can see them all downstairs, everywhere, you know, and if you look closely, you know, people don't believe, I mean, people who have been in prison who've done this might say it's true, yeah, it is true, you know, this is unbelievable. You might see the exercise yard moving, and it's because there's millions of cockroaches, black cockroaches, all moving in to eat the poo. It's honestly, it's prison, mate. In them days, it was terrible. I mean, in my YP, it was bad. You know, I'm on about the 60s. That was like really bad. You know, but I mean, to get out of your cell and to be able to use the toilet was comfort. But you say that, the door's cut in half, yeah? So the screw can see over the door. And they come into the toilet, hurry up, you know what I mean? And the toilet paper you got, the toilet paper you got is greaseproof paper, yeah? I swear, you know, and you can't wipe your arse with it, it's impossible, you know what I mean? It slides up your arse, you can't do it. So, you know, I can understand how people fill up their water jugs and all that, fill up their cups with water and wash their arse. I can imagine people doing that. I can see why people do that, you know, because in prison you couldn't do it. It was impossible to wipe your arse with that paper, you know. You got people running in there with newspapers, but it's still the same. It ain't really done. You know what I mean? So a couple of times I've gone in there with a cup and washed my arse because you got to. You know what I mean? But this is why when you go in prison in them early days, yeah, when you go to get your stuff out of reception, when you go to get your stuff out of the clothing place in the reception when you walk in, yeah, and they're giving you stuff, and you think, but it ain't even been washed. But it has, because all the boiler houses in them days were so old, they never had a lot of hot water. Do you know what I mean? So in the daytime it ran out, so they used cold water to wash your clothes with. So a lot of people got dermatitis and think everyone's scratching. It's crazy. And in reception when they give you your clothes, right? I'm not joking, right? You get a vest, right? That's got stains all over it. You got pants, 2 pair of pants that are longer than your knees, and 9 times out of 10 they're stained like you wouldn't believe, because they're not washed properly. And I'm surprised more people didn't die in there or whatever, you know what I mean? But it was really bad, and yet you come back, and when you go to your big prison, like I went there to Albany from there. When I went to Albany, you know, it was like You couldn't believe it. It's a holiday camp, you know what I mean? You go to the cell, then they had the plastic ones, yeah? Maybe the first ones that was plastic toilet, piss pot, and you never used it. You might be caught one night short, have a wee or whatever, but you never use it because you're out your cell and you can go to the toilet. You think, this is heaven, you know what I mean? You've got a single cell, it's heaven. But, you know, Scrubs, Wandsworth, Deville, Brixton, and them sort of places, mate. When you got some are worse than others. I mean, Wandsworth is one of the worst, yeah. Wandsworth, in them days, they didn't care, mate. They did not care. You know, you was treated like a bit of shit. You know what I mean? But I could be a bit of shit. It was a bit of shit as well. Don't worry about that. Anyway, just a little one. I'll do a big one later on about other things that I've done when I first got put in prison. Things you won't believe, really. It's unbelievable. Prison is crazy, man. Bang, 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 nice one.